You ever notice how the universe has a sixth sense of humor? December had rolled in like a smug guest who overstays his welcome. The streets were lit up like a Christmas card. Carolers were butchering Silent Night outside the grocery store, and everyone was pretending peppermint-flavored coffee was a reason to be cheerful. Me? I was just trying to survive the holidays with my sanity and my marriage intact. We had plans that year. Plans involving log cabins, snow, and pretending our marriage wasn't unraveling like a cheap sweater. Anna, my wife, still technically, had insisted we spend Christmas Eve with my family. Said she missed the warmth of it. Now, I should have taken that as a red flag. This woman hasn't voluntarily visited my family since the Great Turkey Argument of 2018, when my brother Mike claimed her stuffing tasted like drywall. But there she was that night, smiling, laughing, pouring wine like she was auditioning for a Hallmark movie. I sat on the couch next to her, watching her pour charm like syrup over pancakes. It was convincing. Almost. Then Mike walked in. With a gift. Something special for Anna, he said, flashing his signature smirk, the kind that's always one eyebrow away from suspicion. He handed her a tiny black box. Jewelry-sized. Fancy little ribbon. My wife's hand paused just a second too long before she took it. "Oh, Mike," she said, her voice laced with just the right amount of faux surprise. "You didn't have to." I watched her open it. A delicate silver bracelet shimmered inside, catching the light like a magician's trick. Elegant. Understated. Not expensive, but personal. Too personal. Anna went pale. It was so fast, so slight, I almost missed it. But I didn't. She turned ghost white for a moment, like someone had flipped the power off inside her. My gut tightened. Mike chuckled. "Thought of you the second I saw it," he said. "Check the engraving." Anna's thumb brushed over the inside. Her smile froze. You could almost hear the machinery in her brain trying to calculate what I could or couldn't see. But I saw it. I always see more than people think. M plus A equals always. Her name was Anna, but I wasn't M. I leaned back into the couch cushion and took a sip of mulled wine that suddenly tasted like rust. Mike walked off, chatting with my uncle about fantasy football or other meaningless nonsense. Anna sat next to me, still smiling that tight, practiced smile. I didn't say a word. Didn't have to. Not yet. Later that evening, after the fake laughter and the pretzel-dry gingerbread cookies, I told Anna I had a gift for her too. She followed me to the car, heels tapping like a countdown clock. I popped the trunk, lifted out a silver suitcase, handed it to her. No ribbon, no card, just finality. From me, to her. She stared at it, then at me. I didn't blink. "Happy holidays," I said, and I walked back inside. You know how they say you don't lose something all at once, it just fades? That's what marriage felt like those last few months with Anna. Not a crash, not a scream, just a flickering light bulb that quietly burned out while you stood there blinking in the dark. After Christmas Eve, things got quiet between us. Not silent, no, she still talked. Still asked about the trash going out, still nodded when I told her about my day, still texted me, "Pick up oat milk," like the world wasn't cracking under our feet. But the part of her that looked at me like I was her person, that part was gone. She wore the bracelet the next morning. No lie. Woke up, made coffee, walked into the kitchen wearing that thing like it hadn't come gift-wrapped in betrayal. Like M could stand for maybe, or meaningless, or mild lapse in judgment. So, I said, "Nice bracelet." Anna froze at the counter. Just a second. Enough for a heartbeat to get awkward. "Oh, thanks," she said, stirring her coffee. "Mike has good taste." "Yeah," I said, "especially in married women." That's when she blinked. Only blinked. Didn't fumble, didn't stutter. Just blinked. Like she'd been rehearsing that moment in the mirror for weeks. "Don't start," she whispered, turning to the fridge. And that was it. Don't start. Not "what do you mean?" Not "what are you talking about?" Not even the classic "you're crazy." Just don't. Which, by the way, is what guilty people say when they know they've run out of lies. Now, to her credit, she kept it together. She cleaned the house, made calls, hosted brunch for 2 of her coworkers, and even laughed too loud at something they said about office politics. But I watched her like a man watching the tide pull away from the shore. Something was coming. One night, I stayed up after she went to bed. Just sat there in the living room, staring at the quiet TV screen. The bracelet was on the table. She must have taken it off before bed. I picked it up, ran my thumb along the engraving. M plus A equals always. I don't know what bothered me more, that she wore it without shame, or that Mike had the nerve to hand it to her in front of me. Like they thought I was too polite, too slow, or just too in love to connect the dots. But here's the thing. I'd been connecting them for months. The late-night texts with no names. The sudden girls' trips. The way she'd smile at her phone, then lock it so fast you'd think it was nuclear launch codes. I just hadn't admitted it to myself. Until now. It happened 3 days after Christmas. Funny how betrayal doesn't wait for a dramatic moment. There's no thunderclap, no evil music cue. Just you, your curiosity, and a truth so sharp it could cut diamonds. I was organizing the garage. Yeah, romantic, right? Nothing like the smell of motor oil and forgotten holiday boxes to make a man reflective. I wasn't looking for anything. Wasn't snooping. I was just trying to feel normal. Sweep the concrete. Move old gym equipment I hadn't used since pre-pandemic optimism. But then I found the gift bag, tucked behind a box labeled spring wreaths. Black. Velvet. Still had a faint whiff of her perfume. Anna always sprayed the tissue paper like she was branding it. I opened it. Inside, a matching jewelry box. Empty. So this was the original packaging for the bracelet. I flipped it over. A tiny receipt was folded and jammed into the underside. From Michael. December 12th. Not even gift wrapped by the store. He wrapped it himself. Classic Mike. Doesn't trust anyone but himself to get things just right. I held it in my hands for a long time. I wasn't angry yet. I wasn't heartbroken. I was processing. Like someone trying to figure out how a magician did the trick. That night, I didn't mention it. I just observed. Anna was folding laundry in our room. I walked in, tossed my keys in the bowl, and asked, "So, you and Mike keep in touch much?" She didn't even flinch. "Well," she said, carefully smoothing a pair of my jeans, "he's your brother. It's not like I can avoid him." I nodded. "Yeah, true. It's just, he texted me the other night. Asked if I remembered the trip to Monterey in college." Her hands paused mid-fold. She smiled, too slow. "Oh yeah, that was the one where you two snuck into the golf resort, right?" I smiled back. "That's the one." We stared at each other a moment too long. She blinked first. It didn't take long after that. That night, while she was in the shower, I opened her laptop. She never bothered to change the password. Still used her old dog's name, Buttons. Email was clean. She's not sloppy. But her calendar? There it was. Lunch, M. Red Heart. Repeated every 2 weeks. Same cafe. Same time. A recurring event. Then, I made the final mistake of a man who still had hope. I clicked the Notes app, and there it was, buried among recipes and grocery lists. A draft of a letter. I didn't mean to fall for him, but I can't help what feels real. He sees me. He hears me. I don't know how to undo this. I closed the laptop, sat in the dark, and for the first time in months, I wasn't confused anymore. There's something uniquely bitter about betrayal when it comes wrapped in a blood tie. You expect the world to let you down. You expect coworkers to smile while they plot. You expect strangers to cut you off in traffic and forget to say thank you. But your own brother? That hits different. It was a cold, wet Thursday when I decided to pay Mike a visit. No text. No call. Just me, showing up like a ghost that forgot to knock. He lived in a downtown loft, the kind that looked modern on the outside but felt like a sterile fish tank on the inside. High ceilings, concrete floors, and furniture chosen more for Instagram likes than comfort. I buzzed the intercom and waited. His voice crackled through. "Yo, it's me." A pause, then a loud click as the door unlocked. He was standing at the top of the stairs when I entered, barefoot, hoodie half-zipped, hair damp like he'd just gotten out of the shower, or maybe someone else's bed. Wouldn't have surprised me. "Hey, bro," he said, giving me that same easy grin he'd used since we were kids. The one he wore when he knocked over a lamp and blamed it on the dog. I didn't smile back. I walked past him and into the living room. "You want a drink or something?" he asked, following. "Nope," I said, sitting down. "I'm not here for small talk." Mike leaned against the kitchen island, arms folded. His mouth twitched. He knew what this was. He just didn't know how much I knew. I watched him for a moment. Same guy who taught me how to drive stick. Same guy who nearly broke his arm trying to jump our neighbor's ramp with a BMX bike. Same guy who stood beside me at the altar when I married Anna. "So," I said, voice steady, "how long?" He blinked. A flicker of guilt. But it passed. "Logan, man." I held up a hand. "Don't insult me. Just answer the question." He sighed. "A few months." I nodded. "Just a few months, huh?" He didn't respond. "Right," I said. Because nothing says spur of the moment like custom engraving. That one landed. Mike scratched the back of his neck. Look, I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did. Like slipping on ice? I didn't come after her, Logan. No, I said. You just waited. Waited for the cracks to show. Waited for a weak spot. And when it came, you slid right in. His jaw tensed. I didn't steal her, he muttered. I laughed, cold, hollow. Mike. Buddy. You gave her jewelry with your initials on it. You're not a secret. You're a headline. Silence settled between us like smoke. She said you stopped seeing her, he offered quietly. Stopped noticing her. Like she was furniture. Oh, so that makes it okay? No, it doesn't, he said. But it wasn't just about you. She's unhappy. I stood up. My hands were steady. My pulse wasn't. That surprised me. You know what the worst part is? I asked. It's not even that she cheated. People cheat. Happens every day. But you? You're supposed to be my brother. I still am, he said, almost defensively. I shook my head. No, Mike. Brothers don't sneak around with each other's wives. Brothers don't write cute little M+A= always love notes and wrap them in velvet. He looked like he wanted to say something. Maybe an apology. Maybe another excuse. I didn't let him. I'm not going to punch you, I said. That'd be easy. For you. For me. But I want you to live with this. I want you to carry it every time you see me. Every time you see her. He opened his mouth. No, I snapped. Let me finish. He went quiet again. I'm walking out of here. And you don't get to call me. Not for birthdays, not for apologies. We're done, Mike. Done like meat left too long on the grill. You burned it. I turned toward the door. Then stopped. Oh, and one more thing, I added, without turning around. She's yours now. Congratulations. He didn't respond. I didn't need him to. Back in the car, I sat behind the wheel, the world outside blurring with raindrops and streetlights. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, watching my breath fog the windshield. I didn't lose Anna. I lost the illusion. And that, somehow, made it easier. People think revenge is fire, hot, wild, fast. But the truth is, real revenge is ice. It's slow, calculated. It waits for the right moment and then slides the blade in without a ripple on the surface. After I left Mike's loft, I didn't go home. I drove until the gas light blinked orange and the sky started leaking snow. I pulled into a 24-hour diner, the kind with cracked vinyl booths and a waitress who calls everyone Han. Ordered black coffee and sat by the window, watching the flakes fall like static. My mind wasn't on Anna. Not exactly. It was on all the things I hadn't seen, hadn't let myself see. The time she came home with that faint perfume that wasn't hers. The new lingerie that stayed buried in drawers. The way she smiled at her phone, then flipped its screen down like it had something to hide. In retrospect, the signs were obvious. They always are. It's denial that blurs the edges. I pulled out my phone and opened the note I'd started the night after Christmas. Titled it, Inventory. It wasn't emotional. It was a checklist. Bracelet engraved. Calendar entries with M red heart. Draft love letter and notes. Receipt from Mike's gift. Login screenshots from shared iCloud. Hotel reservation from early November. Phone records showing 3-8 calls between them in 30 days. I stared at that list for a long time. And then I added one more line. Suitcase. Gifted. Not packed. Because yeah, that suitcase I gave her on Christmas Eve, she never touched it. Never asked why. Never brought it up again. I left it there, by the bedroom wall, like a loaded question. And she walked past it every day like it wasn't aimed at her chest. That's when I knew. She wasn't ashamed. She was settled. And that made her dangerous. The next day, I was back at the house before she got home from work. The snow was ankle-deep and untouched in the driveway. I parked on the street, walked in through the side door, and made myself a cup of tea. Jasmine, her favorite. Just to make a point. She walked in an hour later, wrapped in her long winter coat, red cheeks, leather gloves. Oh, she said, eyes narrowing slightly. You're home. MMHM. She dropped her purse by the door. Took her time unwrapping herself, like we were still doing this performance. How was your day? I asked, sipping my tea. She gave me a look, half confusion, half suspicion. Fine. I nodded, tapped my fingers on the table. I stopped by to grab a few things. You staying tonight? No. She took a breath, the kind you take before jumping into a pool. Logan, we need to talk. I smiled. No, we don't. Her eyes flickered. Yes, we do. I don't want things to end like this. What makes you think this is the end? That threw her off. She blinked. What? I leaned forward, real calm. See, Anna, the end would mean we're done. That we both walk away, maybe broken, maybe bitter, but clean. She said nothing. But that's not what's happening, I said, setting my mug down. No. See, now we start a different phase. The part where I take my hands off the brakes. What does that mean? It means, I said, standing up, I'm done protecting your image. Or Mike's. Her lips parted, ready to argue, but I cut her off. I know everything. The calls. The meetings. The hotel. I've got enough digital proof to drown a politician. But here's the thing. I stepped closer. I'm not going to post it. I'm not going to scream. I'm not even going to yell. Then what are you going to do? She asked, arms crossed now. I'm going to let you keep living in the house while I file, I said. But I'll freeze the accounts tonight. You'll get half, but no more surprises. No more fun money. I'll let your friends know we're separating professionally, of course. You'll explain it however you like. Midlife growth, maybe. Her voice was sharper now. You're punishing me. No, I said. I'm inviting you to rebuild. With him. From scratch. Without my help. You think you're in control now? I know I am. She laughed. Short. Bitter. You're bluffing. You've always hated drama. I stepped back, grabbed my coat, and slung it over my shoulder. Oh, Anna, I said at the door. This isn't drama. It's business. I didn't sleep that night. I made calls. I called our lawyer and initiated the paperwork. I called my cousin, who worked in real estate, and got the name of a top listing agent for the house. I even called a private investigator, not because I needed more evidence, but because I wanted it packaged neatly. Because in the end, I wasn't just walking away. I was rewriting the script. Anna thought the worst thing I could do was yell. That I'd storm off, disappear, cry in a bar somewhere. But that's not my style. Let her explain why the house is listed without her consent. Let her answer questions about M+A= always when her boss asks why she's suddenly being tagged in anonymous posts with photos of her and Mike at that hotel last November. Let her realize that every friend who smiled at her will now smile through clenched teeth. No slander. Just facts. No fire. Just ice. It came in the form of a text. No grand apology, no bouquet of guilt-ridden roses. Just, dinner tonight? One last time. My treat. I stared at the message for a full minute. Anna never used punctuation in texts. Ever. That period after tonight? That was her way of saying this is important. Not emotional. Just final. I typed back. 7 works. No emoji. No heart. Just time and silence. When I showed up, she had already picked the place, an Italian spot we used to like. Back when our biggest argument was over who left the cap off the toothpaste. Cozy lighting, linen tablecloths, the faint smell of garlic and compromise in the air. She was already seated by the time I arrived. Hair done. Makeup sharp. That same silver bracelet on her wrist, the one with Mike's initials still quietly taunting me like graffiti on the wall of our life. I slid into the seat across from her. Nodded at the waiter, who poured sparkling water like we were still a couple that had something to celebrate. We didn't speak for the first few minutes. Just flipped through the menu like strangers who shared a past life. She broke the silence first. You look tired, she said. You look polished, I replied. She gave a small, humorless smile. I figured you'd appreciate the effort. I shrugged. Little late for effort. The waiter returned, took our orders, pasta for her, steak for me, and vanished like a man who's seen enough tension at dinner tables to know when to walk away. She stared at her water glass. So this is it? I leaned back. You tell me. You called this meeting. She nodded slowly, eyes scanning the flickering candlelight. I wanted to see if maybe we could just talk like people again. Not like lawyers. You want civility, I said. After months of secrecy. I didn't ask for a war. No, I agreed. You just built the landmines and hoped I'd never step on them. She flinched. I wasn't trying to hurt you, Logan. I swear. I took a sip of water, let the cold run over my tongue. You were just trying to feel something again, right? She looked down. Didn't deny it. I studied her for a moment. The woman across from me wasn't a monster. That's the part people don't get. Betrayal doesn't always wear horns. Sometimes it wears perfume and says I love you while it reaches for someone else. You know, I said, I spent weeks wondering what I did wrong. If I was too quiet. Too focused on work. Me. Anna looked up. And then I realized, I continued, this wasn't about me falling short. It was about you needing someone new to blame your emptiness on. That's not fair, she said, voice barely above a whisper. Neither was you and Mike. Silence. The waiter brought our food. Set the plates down. Asked if we needed anything else. Peace of mind, I said. He blinked. I'll bring Parmesan. When he left, Anna twisted her napkin in her lap. You're not making this easy. I'm not here to make this easy, I said. I'm here to finish it. That got her attention. I talked to the lawyer. Papers will be served next week. You'll get to stay in the house until it's sold. You'll get your share of everything we built. She looked at me sharply. Everything you built, you mean? I shrugged. That's the game, right? I play provider. You play restless. And we both act shocked when the foundation cracks. She opened her mouth, closed it again. I could see it. The moment she realized I wasn't the man she thought would just take the fall and fade. I have one more thing to give you, I said. Her eyes narrowed. Logan, if this is some dramatic. It's not, I said, reaching into my coat pocket. I pulled out a small envelope. White, clean, quiet. She took it hesitantly, opened it. Inside, a photo. Her eyes scanned it, then widened. It was Mike. At a cafe, with someone who was not her. Young woman. Blonde. Laughing at something he said while touching his hand. Taken 2 days ago. I leaned in, voice low. You weren't the only one looking for something new. Anna stared at the photo like it had slapped her. I'm not showing you this to hurt you, I said. I'm showing you so you stop pretending this was a love story. You weren't his endgame, Anna. You were a detour. Her fingers trembled slightly, but she didn't speak. I slid a second item across the table. A flash drive. Every message. Every email. Every phone call log. Yours and his. She looked up. Why would you? Because I'm not going to use it, I said. I just want you to know I could have. She swallowed hard. You wanted one last supper, I said, standing. Now you've got your leftovers. And then, calm as a winter breeze, I walked out. Left her sitting there with a cold plate, a colder truth, and the kind of silence that lasts long after the door shuts. The fallout didn't come fast. It came slow, like fog creeping into a valley. Quiet. Heavy. Unavoidable. 3 days after the dinner, she texted me. Can we talk? I didn't answer. 2 days later. Please. Still nothing. And then the calls started. First once a day. Then 3 times. Then late-night voicemails where her voice cracked in ways it never did during arguments, during affairs, during the unraveling of everything we once were. The voice of someone realizing the parachute isn't opening. I wasn't cold about it. Just done. I moved into a condo on the edge of town. Quiet place. No ghosts. I kept it minimalist. 1 fork, 1 knife, 1 plate. Like I was retraining myself to live alone. To be singular. My brother, meanwhile, had gone radio silent. Probably dealing with his own mess. Maybe still denying everything. Maybe already trying the same tricks with the blonde from the cafe. Didn't matter. Anna sent one last message. I was stupid. I thought I was chasing something that would make me feel alive. Turns out, I killed the only real thing I had. I'm sorry. I read it once. Deleted it. Because closure doesn't always come with fireworks or sobbing on doorsteps. Sometimes, it comes with indifference. The divorce was clean on paper. Filed. Stamped. Processed. Emotionally. That's another story. The lawyer handled most of it. I barely had to speak. She tried to negotiate for the house. Not because she wanted it, because she didn't want me to have it. But she underestimated how little I cared. I gave her the house. Every square foot. Let her decorate the ruins however she liked. But I sold the land underneath. Turns out, when we refinanced 3 years ago, I had added my name to the lot title separately. The land was mine. And I sold it. To a developer. When she called, voice frantic, I answered. Logan, what did you do? I was calm. Polite, even. Just reshuffling a few assets. They're going to tear it down. That's usually what they do when something's beyond repair. She went quiet. I didn't hang up. I just listened to her breathing. Panicked, disbelieving, tired. I don't have anywhere to go. You had somewhere, I said. You lit a match and walked away. Click. She never called again. 6 months later, I got a letter. Not an email. Not a text. An envelope. From Mike. No return address. Just a single sheet of paper, typed. You were right. She wasn't the endgame. Neither was I. I thought I was saving her from a cage. Turns out, she just brought the cage with her. You don't have to forgive me. I wouldn't if I were you. But I had to say it. I had to say I'm sorry. No signature. Just ink and cowardice. I folded it neatly. Put it in a drawer. I didn't respond. Not because I wasn't angry anymore, but because some apologies are just postcards from sinking ships. The suitcase sat in the corner of my closet for nearly a year. I never touched it, never moved it. It became a kind of monument, a reminder that sometimes the most powerful words are the ones you don't say. On the 1-year mark of our divorce, I opened it. Empty. Of course. I packed it myself this time. Inside, the silver bracelet, the flash drive, the printed letter from Mike, and a single photo of me and Anna on our wedding day. Faces smiling, unaware of the future. I drove out to the edge of town. There's a cliffside trail where the view makes you feel small in a good way. I left the suitcase there. Didn't throw it. Didn't burn it. Just walked away. Let it be someone else's discovery. Someone else's mystery. My story wasn't about what she did anymore. It was about what I chose to do after. And I chose peace. Not the kind with sunsets and healing crystals. The kind you earn. The kind that comes when you stop bleeding and start building again. Not revenge. Not justice. Just freedom.